Hey everyone, in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to do this Dutch braid zigzag updo. I really liked it because it's all one solid braid, just pinned up in a couple of different areas. So before we go into the Dutch braid, we're going to braid it into a 3-strand braid just once, and then we're going to go into a Dutch braid. So with a 3-strand braid you just divide into 3, and the outer strands you braid it into the middle. And once you have that braided just once, we're going to go into the Dutch right away. So you gather hair to the outer strands and then braid it underneath the middle strand. If you want a more detailed breakdown of how to do the Dutch braid or even the 3-strand braid, I will add links to my other tutorials right here. But again, what I am doing right here is just, I have it separated in 3, and I'm gathering hair into the outer strands and just braiding it underneath the middle strand. Gathering some more hair for the outer strands and then putting it underneath the middle strand. And you're just going to start wrapping this around over the crown of your head, and it's just going to go all the way until it reaches the back of your ear towards the bottom, pretty much. So right here, what you see me starting to do is kind of struggle a little, because at this point it gets a little too awkward to be able to keep braiding your hair with my arms this way. So I'm wrapping my other arm behind my head to start braiding it back there. But you do want to make sure to have your hair completely untangled. That way when you do re-grip your locks of hair, you're not trying to struggle to untangle it again. As you continue to braid this towards the back of your head, you do still want to make sure that it is all tight, because it is going to be pulled out later, and you do want to make sure to have a strong, tight base so that it looks pretty at the end. It is a little hard to really master kind of the Dutch braiding, but once you get it down, it'll be kind of second nature to be able to braid it in the back of your head even when you're not looking at it. So right here you're going to kind of start to curve down the Dutch braid. It's going to start to look like a C. So just have that image in your head, and you're just gathering some hair from the middle to be able to tighten it and wrap it all around. When you eventually run out of hair to be able to French Dutch braid it, you're just going to continue it onto a regular Dutch braid. But before we do that, we are going to pull out the curves of the Dutch braid. That way we're able to pull out a lot, and we don't have to struggle with how tight it is later, since our braid is supposed to be really tight. So just pull out every curve, and we're not going to go towards the top of that C yet. Later on we're going to be pulling that out once we fully braid it and wrap a rubber band around it. Right here we're just pulling out the bottom. And again, I have done this before I fully braided it out. That way it's a lot easier to be able to tug on every single curve. So just pull out as much volume, I guess, as you want for every strand and every curve. And then you're going to just finish that Dutch braid. I did have to refine my grip on that, but just fully Dutch braid that out. And you're going to wrap it with an elastic. The type of elastic doesn't really matter, since we're going to tuck it underneath. It's going to be hidden anyway. So when you wrap it with the elastic, you're going to make a little bit of a loop. As you can see, it's going to really help to just secure it in with the bobby pins later, and you won't have those loose strands out. So then right here, just finish pulling out the bottom of that tail that you have hanging. And you don't really have to pull this one out too much, because although you will be pinning up a certain part of that tail, the last end of it is going to be tucked underneath. And then this is where we can go back and start pulling on the curves of the top of the braid. And if you can see, I am holding down the braid with my left hand as my right hand just pulls it apart. And the front part, you really do want to look in the mirror a couple times. You want to make sure not to pull it out too much. bobby pins and just hold up the tail with your right hand and just find the placement that you want it, and then put a couple of bobby pins in there. I like to crisscross the bobby pins inside of the braid, that way they hold securely. And you are going to want to get a feel for your hair. I think I put about 3 or 4 bobby pins in it. Those 2 I crisscrossed, and then you do want to let go of it, see how it feels, and you kind of want to make sure that they do stay hidden. Of course, since my hair is darker, I use black bobby pins. So for this last part of the tail, you're really just hiding it underneath. Your hair may be appropriate to leave it out still, but I have so much of it that it's better for me to just tuck it under. And that loop that we tied earlier is going to really help us keep it secure with the bobby pins underneath the braided hair. And if you do have a few loose strands, like I do on the bottom right, you are going to want to pin that in place. Braid Zigzag Updo. I really like it because it's just one single braid throughout, and again, once you really have perfected being able to do a Dutch braid on your own hair, it'll be a piece of cake. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.